MMA Freak Welcome to MMA Freak. Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Freak Show. I am Ass Salzer. Now, I know that I said that I was only going to do a trilogy of fights about boxing and MMA, but I felt that this one more video would be appropriate, all things considered. So, MMA and boxing have had very different evolutions. MMA popped up around the turn of this century, and boxing turned around the turn of the last century. And both sports have very different titles. One, you have primarily sponsored through governing bodies, and the other, you have sponsored through their promotions. How did this happen? Well, let me explain.
Doing my research for this video, I found something out that was very interesting. The first world title was the middleweight title, and it was won by a guy named Jack Dempsey, who first won it in 1884. That is freaking insane. The first pro wrestling championship wouldn't pop up until past 1900. So anyways, back then titles weren't really centered around promotions. They weren't even centered around boxing organizations. They were centered around the individual. It would pass from individual to individual. Eventually, you did have sanctioning organizations like the National Boxing Association, the New York State Athletic Commission crowning their own champions, and this was just the beginning. But one has to remember that kind of stuff didn't start happening until the 1920s. By that time, things had long been established. And also one thing to remember is the concept of a promotion, as we know it in MMA, did not exist back then. And also the concept of a promotion, as we know it in MMA, does not exist in boxing. In boxing, you have plenty of cross-promotional fights going on because the fights are based in the promotions. They're based in international sanctioning organizations. It's through the international sanctioning organizations that you have the fights going on. The big four being the International Boxing Federation, the World Boxing Association, the World Boxing Council, and the World Boxing Organization. On the other hand, MMA promotions outdate the regulation of MMA. The UFC especially, the UFC's promotion, the Super Fight Championship, was first won by Ken Shamrock on July 14th, 1995. That is well over a century past the first boxing championship. And one thing to remember, as I said, is that these championships supersede boxing promotion. That just comes with the territory of the sport. The reason why the UFC championships are so big is because they're exclusive to the promotions. They own that championship. It's not like the WBO championship that doesn't belong to the promotion that champion is a part of. It belongs to the sanctioning organization. Now, actually, there was a attempt to stop this because of the various promotional championships. Things got a little confusing. There was an attempt to create something like this with the World Alliance of Mixed Martial Arts. This popped up around the founding of the Affliction of promotion. They had a heavyweight and a lightweight champion in Fedor Emelianenko and Shinya Aoki respectively. It could be argued that those two fighters were the top fighters of the weight class at the time, despite the UFC not participating. Unfortunately, the World Alliance of Mixed Martial Arts was never able to gain traction, and it ended up falling right around the time that both fighters had Strikeforce bouts. And as we know, the UFC championships are still reigning supreme, but Bellator is on the rise. Long story short, the nature of championships in both sports are just a product of exactly that, their own sport. They are structured differently. The MMA is structured more around promotions, whereas boxing is structured more around governing organizations and individuals. Promotions are not the emphasis in boxing. As much as Conor McGregor may want to change that, it's probably not going to. And that's my explanation on the differences between boxing and MMA championships video. What do you think? Like, share, and subscribe. I'm Matthew from MMA Freak, and I'll see you next time.